Hello everybody, I hope you're all well and welcome back to Voicenotes with Jordan Theresa. Oh my goodness, it's been so long. It's been so long. As you guys can probably tell by the sound of my voice, I'm so excited to be back. First of all, if nobody's got me, I know my Paloma War knitted bonnet has got me. It's gotten a little bit colder in the UK recently. It's that type of weather where during the day it's fine, but like in the early mornings and in the evenings and the nights it gets really cold. So I love packing my little bonnet with me in my bag, and then I just pop it on whenever I'm cold, or I usually put it on when my hair looks like shit, which is like quite often. I think I'm gonna get like a Brazilian blow dry to try and like straighten my hair down because it's always just such a state. Like I love the color of my hair. I was actually gonna dye it ginger, and then I ended up changing my mind, and I ended up like going for like a dark red, which I really like, and I love like wearing navy at the moment because the navy really makes the red pop, and like I feel like I look so good at the moment. Like I'm saying I look amazing. Like, who wants to know my lip combo at the moment? Like I'm in, like, you know, where it's just like I feel like I've fully transitioned into the autumn now. Because what I will say is that I'm not grieving summer that much, because the UK, we had a really shit summer this year. The weather was awful. Like I don't remember there being a single like streak of like really hot weather. I remember there being 2 days of it, and then that was it, and then it just rained the entire time. But my go-to, like what I like about the autumn and the winter is that you know what you're getting. It does what it says on the tin. With the summer, I find that bad weather in the summer can be more depressing than bad weather in the autumn and winter. But anyway, it's actually a very beautiful day today. It's like cloudy but sunny. As you can see, it's like nice and bright, but it's like a bit nippy and frosty. I don't know why I decided to start this episode talking about the weather, but my go-to like little wintry lip combo at the moment is I actually finally bought Clinique Black Honey. If you haven't heard of Black Honey before, it's basically like, it's like a famous shade by Clinique. I think they used it in the Lord of the Rings film. It's basically like one of those Your Lips But Better colors. Obviously, I'm not wearing it in a very natural way because I'm not a natural babe. I do not wear natural makeup. I'm a full glam babe. But I wear Clinique Black Honey. I use Charlotte Tilbury Iconic Nude Lip Liner, and then I use Clinique Black Honey, and then I use the Fenty Gloss Bomb on top. And I want to try out the Clinique Black Honey lip gloss as well. It's on my birthday wish list. But yes, how is everybody doing? I'm so excited to be back. It's the same as usual that when I get really busy with work, my podcast tends to just go on the back burner. I think one thing that I'm really grateful for about, you know, like having this podcast is that I've found, and look, maybe things will change now. Maybe everyone will be like, Jordan, we're sick of you, get lost. But one thing that I've found is that no matter how long I'm gone, you guys are always here waiting when I come back. I think that's like the beauty of podcasting, isn't it? Like it's almost like a passive medium, right? You know, you listen to podcast episodes while you're doing things. People very rarely sit and watch a podcast episode. The only person who I know who sits and watch a podcast episode is my housemate, Jack, like, because he will sit and watch mine as he eats. But most people I know, like, listen to them. So, you know, when a podcaster that you like drops off the face of the earth for a couple of months, you know, it's not like you're sat there waiting and then you sort of a bit like, oh, like when they come back, you're like a bit sick of it. It's just one of those things where it's such a passive medium that it's fine if people drop off the face of the earth for a couple of months. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie, I'm chatting so much shit already, but like, isn't this what this is all about, girls? Isn't this what this is all about? But yes, when I get really busy with work, my podcast tends to go on the back burner. My August was crazy. I was really busy with work. I moved house and I was hiring a researcher all in one go. Like I got nearly 200 applications for the researcher role, and I was going through all of them by myself. So it was truly a crazy month. So I wasn't even thinking about podcasting. And obviously I was going through a really crazy life change as well, which we obviously are going to speak about in this episode. This episode, there's no, like, usually with my episodes, they're usually sort of structured. Like, I talk about some sort of like different pop culture topics and I sort of like segment them off. This one is more just like a big life update episode. And it's not even necessarily like a life update episode because there's not that many updates in my life other than that I moved, but rather like there's a lot of updates within my brain. There's like a lot of updates within myself. I don't know. I feel like this is going to be quite like an emotions heavy episode. Like I'm really in the mood to like get into it with you guys and talk about my emotions and like sort of what's been going on with me recently. But we have, the researcher has been hired. Shout out to researcher Leanne. She's a little bit unwell at the moment, but she will be back and she will be back on her shit and she's so good at what she does. She makes my life so much easier. I just a couple of days ago filmed a video about Catfish the TV show. It's actually one of my favorite essays I've ever written, which is rare because for the past, like, I'd probably say 3 to 4 months, I haven't really written anything that I'm proud of. I think a lot of it's got to do with obviously like the changes going on in my life. Like I went through like a really dramatic life change and then I, you know, like everyone else, I had to work on top of that. So I was honestly just like, the subjects I was making were subjects I was interested in, but I don't think I was putting my all into it because I was working really hard, but I wasn't making anything I was proud of. I didn't really feel like I was challenging myself. Like as much as I, you know, videos that are about modern day beauty standards and sort of technology and social media's role within beauty, they always do really, really well. Like it's an easy like 1 or 2 of 10 video. But I don't think that those videos really challenge me all that much because I have, you know, written about beauty for so long. But I like this catfish video, I felt like it really challenged me and that's what I really liked. Like I felt so stimulated whilst I was writing that video and I was really happy with the final product, which is like so rare. I'm getting the edit back tomorrow. I'm super excited to watch it back. I'm really excited to see what Kath's done with it because Kath has also been on her shit as well. Like girls, the team is popping off. The Jordan Theresa team is absolutely popping off. But yes, now that researcher Leanne is on board, I'm hoping that I will be able to dedicate more to this podcast. The whole plan has always been 2 long episodes a month and 1 minisode a month. So hopefully I'll be able to keep that up and we'll just see how it goes. But obviously I know that there's literally no pressure from you guys at all. Like I know that you guys would rather me make episodes when I'm happier rather than like force myself to make episodes. What I will say is that this is my favorite part of my job. This podcast is my favorite part of my job. It makes me so happy. It's easily my proudest achievement is this podcast, and it is what I enjoy doing the most. And it is like, I would say that it's really easy work. Being able to sit, because I yap to myself anyway. Like I am a yapper. I will say I do have a little bit of a sore throat right now. Well, not a sore throat. I'm just a bit sick, like sicky and like bunged up. And I saw a tweet that said like strep throat is the yapper's version of tearing an ACL. And it's like so true. When I was filming a video last week, my throat was so sore and I was like, oh my God, I'm losing my powers. Like, but yes, now that researcher Leanne's on board, we should be able to dedicate some more time to the podcast. But obviously I know it's no pressure from you guys. But I'm just really, really excited to get back into it. But what I will say, even though this is my favorite part of my job, when you're not in the mood, it is really difficult, because if I had like a co-host, obviously things would probably be a bit different, but obviously I'm doing it on my own. So like, you know, when I was going through my breakup, you know, surprisingly at the beginning, because I had all of this spare time, because, you know, I was living alone, I was working alone. I remember it was before I became really close with my new girlfriends, and I remember there was obviously complications because me and my ex shared a friendship group, so it became sort of a whoever bagsied the plans first, really, which obviously you can imagine it got really not really messy. It got messy once, but like it really has not been a confrontational nor messy breakup at all. But as you can imagine, it was like a really lonely and isolating time for me. So what was really, truly the highlight of my weeks was being able to sit and talk to you guys. Even though I know I'm sat in this studio and I'm by myself, honestly, it doesn't feel like that at all. It really, really doesn't feel like I'm on my own at all. And it was really, really therapeutic. But then when things got really busy and stressful and, the breakup, it got to a very strange point, like within myself and like my emotions towards it. The last thing I wanted to do was sit and talk to you guys. Like it was interesting because, I talk a lot to my therapist about my conflicting sort of, I guess, feelings. There we go. Opinions, girl, they're feelings. My conflicting feelings towards like being depressed, because I've said this on the podcast before, but I used to be, it's been nearly 3 years now that I've been in recovery. But 3 years ago, I was very, very mentally unwell, really, really, really unwell. Like that's the only way that I can describe it. I was just so ill. And I always compare any sort of bout of depression that I have or like low mood with that time. So I don't think that I'm depressed because I'm like, oh, well, I don't want to top myself. So clearly it's not that bad. But like, obviously it's important to acknowledge when you're not feeling great. And I remember that August, I went to a festival at the beginning of the month as well. So that like had great time at the festival. I went to Detmantel in Amsterdam. I had a great time at the festival, but obviously like it takes it out of you. So I was just really demotivated and I just wasn't really in the mood. But like the good thing is that I got my work on my main channel done, and that's literally how I make my money. That's how I make my living, girls. So I like made my money, and then I know that this is always ready whenever I come back. And this is actually the first podcast episode I have recorded since I did my live podcast show at Reading Festival. Yeah, so unfortunately I didn't have a lot of time to promote it because it wasn't confirmed until around a week before. So I promoted it on my podcast, on my Instagram stories. But Reading Festival asked me to do a podcast show on their Orc stage, and it was not the Orc stage that got blown away in Leeds. It was the Orc stage that stayed put in Reading. And we've lost the Orc stage. That will stay in my head rent-free forever. And Jack did it with me, and it was just great. It was so fun. I really wasn't expecting that many people to be there. Like me and Jack thought no one was going to be there, but we were like, oh, like it's fine because it's going to be good opportunity, good pictures, good Instagram post out of this, People actually showed up. I could not believe it, because obviously with Reading Festival, no one's buying a ticket to see me and Jack. It's just, if you're there, you can come and see us. So, and because I'd only had a week to promote it, I really, really wasn't expecting anyone to come, but you guys came and it made me so happy, and I met so many of you guys. Like it was literally the sweetest, like most wholesome, like you're on such a high after something like that. Like it's crazy. But it was like such a pleasure meeting so many of you guys. Like it really, really, truly was. Like I will never ever forget it. Like I will absolutely never ever forget that. And obviously thank you so much, Reading Festival, for the opportunity. I remember when they asked me, I was like, I don't want to do it because no one's going to come. And then when me and Jack were on the train there, we were like, no one's going to be there, but it's fine. Like it was absolutely crazy, and it was so much fun. And yeah, like look at me. Like I feel like I'm doing really exciting things right now. Like I am finally getting back into the flow of my essay writing. I haven't actually started it yet, but I am planning on doing some more writing, which is separate from my YouTube. That's all I'm going to say. I'm planning on doing some more writing. Tomorrow, I'm actually recording an episode of Taboo on the Tube with Zara. If you haven't heard of Zara, she does this series called Taboo on the Bus on TikTok. She is great. Like she's absolutely great. And I'm doing an episode of Taboo on the Tube with her. We're going to be talking about dating apps because, guys, ever since I spoke to you guys, I'm a slut. So I just want to make it clear that, and this is going to be so disappointing to you guys, and I am sorry, but I know that you guys listening will understand that My dating life, I'm not going to be talking about it. I'm sorry. And what I will say is that I do think people are going to sort of jump to the conclusion of, because I had such a public relationship with my ex, people are going to think, oh, well, you just don't want to share a relationship that publicly again. And it's actually not that at all. Like, it really, really is not that. Because when I do get into a relationship again, I will absolutely share it. Like, sorry, but one thing about me, I love posting on Instagram. And one thing about me, I love sharing the people that I love with you guys. So when I do next get into a relationship, I will absolutely be sharing it with you guys. It's not got anything to do with me and my ex breaking up. I have honestly... People have been overstepping a bit, which I am going to talk about later in this episode. But my take is I truly, truly do have zero regrets about sharing mine and my ex's relationship online. I know that I did have a few people ask whether I regretted it or whether I would do anything different. Honestly, I absolutely wouldn't, because it didn't work out. Yes, I know so many of you guys were absolutely gutted when you found out that me and my ex broke up. No one was more gutted than me. No one was more gutted than me. But what I will say is I have zero regrets about sharing that relationship. All of our videos are still up. I don't plan on taking any of our videos down, podcast episodes down, anything. I mean, do I plan on ever watching them? No. Will I ever rewatch those? Absolutely not. That is the saddest thing in the world. But you guys can rewatch them if you like. And, at one point, me and my ex, we were so happy together. And, at one point, I absolutely adored him. I really, really did. We were so in love. And again, it just didn't work out, which obviously is just sad in itself. But, these things happen. People break up. People realize they're just not the right people for each other, which is almost more sad than if something had happened, if someone had cheated or something like that, when you sort of realize that you aren't the right people for each other, but it doesn't mean that you don't love each other. I think that's what's so difficult. It was not for a lack of trying. It was not for a lack of love. We just weren't the right people for each other. But I can't even remember where I was going with this. Oh yeah, but back onto my dating. So yeah, your girl has been dating and I am not planning on sharing any of it with you guys. I think, I'm talking about this on To Be on the Tube tomorrow, so I'm not going to give too many spoilers so you guys can go and watch that. But I have a lot of very strong feelings about people who excessively share their dating life on the internet. I'm talking doing dating vlogs and going into the toilet and updating their TikTok as they're on a date. I just don't think it's right. And even if I said it sort of spoke about my dating, didn't specify what their names were, ages, heights, anything like that, kept it really as anonymous as I could, I still think that the people who I've been on dates with or are currently dating would be able to sort of figure out whether I was talking about them. And I just don't want to talk about someone without their knowledge, without their consent, without their blessing. A lot of because I'm dating only guys at the moment. I'm in my fake bisexual era. No, don't worry guys. The 3D nails will be off soon. We will be dating girls soon. I swear, hold me accountable. But the men that I've been dating are very chronically offline. They, and that's how I like them. That is how I like them. But yeah, it's just a whole world that they don't really understand. So it's just something I don't feel comfortable with, and it's a boundary that I am putting up with you guys, which is rare because I literally have no boundaries when it comes to you guys. But I know that you will all understand. The girlies that listen to this podcast are perhaps the most sound people I've ever met in my life. Every single time I meet someone who watches my videos, which by the way, if you do ever see me out and about, give me a tap on the shoulder and say that you want to say hi, say hi. Honestly, it absolutely makes my day. I absolutely love it. I meet people at festivals a lot as well, which is even better because I'm a bit off my face. So I'm even more excited. I'm even more excited and yummy. But it's especially what really it's one thing saying I love your videos, which obviously makes my day. But then it's a whole other thing when someone says to me, I listen to your podcast. I'm like, I don't know. It just gets me so gassed. It gets me so gassed. But shall we do a little TV show I'm watching, book I'm reading, song I'm listening to. Get the ball rolling. So, TV show I'm watching, I have been watching Industry. So, if you haven't watched Industry before or heard of it, it's a show on HBO. It's just I'd say it's blown up within like the last season. And it is basically about a, like group of investment bankers, and it's written by someone who used to work in investment banking. And I have no idea what's going on the banking side of things, but you sort of have to figure out what's going on like via context clues. And I really, really like it. I think it's a good show. I don't think it's like mind-blowingly amazing, I will say, but I think it's really like top drawer. Like it's a good show, and I'm really, really enjoying it. And Rob is just different gravy. Rob is perhaps like, is this the most attracted I've ever been to a man in my life? Maybe. I've been loving a little blonde bitch at the moment. So the books that I'm reading, I've fallen off with my reading. I got into it for a week or so because I moved, and then I've fallen off with it again. I think something that I'm trying to give myself a little bit of grace on is the fact that I do sometimes forget that I actually have ADHD. Like, I think for so long, because it went undiagnosed for so long, and it was sort of just like I do have ADHD, but I had like nothing to back it up. Now that like I have a diagnosis, my medication my medication like sent me west and made me really tired. So I only take my medication sometimes. I take my medication as a treat, which is actually peak. Like, why can't I just live my life normally? I was literally having this conversation with Jack this morning. I was saying to him, I was like, the thing is with taking Ritalin is that, and like stimulants and things like that, is that you like it sometimes it can go one of both ways. It can either make you quite tired and like focused on the wrong thing and like not really, I mean, it works, but it's like not very what's the word? I'm thinking of the word efficient. It's not very efficient. But when it does work, it like really hits the spot, right? I took my medication like last week when I was writing my catfish essay, and I banged out 2,000 words in a day. Oh, so good. And it's like one of the things where you're like, yeah, like this is working, yeah. And then you're like, wait, other people just live like this. I will say, I do think that my ADHD has made me into the person that I am today. Where would I be without my ADHD, But no, I do genuinely think that my ADHD, I don't think I would be as outgoing if I, didn't have ADHD. I also think that, a lot of people with ADHD are very charismatic, and I think that they tell good stories when they don't lose their train of thought. Like, I think I tell good stories, I'm charismatic, I'm outgoing. And I think that people with ADHD tend to go into, well, not all people, but like people who are in like quite creative careers and like put themselves out there, there's like a little bit ADHD going on. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm chatting shit. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I know that my ADHD has made me the person I am today, but my God, I wish that I didn't have it. Like, I want to get to the point where I'm like, ADHD is my superpower or whatever, but I'm just not. Like, it's just so fucking annoying, man. Like, I want to be able to just, like, every single day, like 5 days a week, be able to write, 1,500 words, but it just doesn't even work like that. It's so stupid. And I wish I could take my medication every day, but it turns me into a zombie. So I have to like microdose it. I can only take my ADHD medication as a treat. Like, it's like, the treat to myself is my brain being normal. Anyways, so the books that I was reading, which I'm gonna start reading again, and so I was reading Miss Justice. It's this book about how the British justice system is failing women. Great book, highly recommend. And then I've been reading the book Annie Bot, which is about this sex robot. Tell the Bees on TikTok recommended it. So I've been reading that. Very sort of on the nose, but I think that sometimes feminist literature needs to be on the nose, especially when did Annie Bot come out? I feel like it came out in 2019. Let me fact check that. Oh, I love saying let me fact check that. Annie Bot, never mind, it came out in 2024. So At the moment, I'm not that like far in, but someone described it as Barbie for girls who like Aphex Twin. That's funny. But at the moment, I would describe it as quite on the nose. But what I will say is that, Annie Bot is probably one of the first books of its kind that's talking about AI and the role of AI within feminism and like AI within, the space of women's rights, because I think we all know here that like technology and AI, what a shock, it's being used, being weaponized against women. One example I can think of is deepfakes. Like, as soon as people got the technology to make deepfakes and, those fake AI videos, what do? They just violated and sexually assaulted women. Like, it's just so like, so it is a little bit on the nose, but sometimes I think, feminist literature and like literature in general that's talking about a very new social phenomenon, I think sometimes it needs to be on the nose. Like sometimes I think that is like necessary. And then the songs that I'm listening to, so I've been listening to Blackwater, Octave 1. Guys, oh my God, I am such a slag for some techno right now. Like what's happening to me? Like my favorite genre of music is like techno house. So I'm more I lean more towards house, but I like the mix of both. I don't like anything too techno-y, but I'm listening to Blackwater, Octave 1, great song. I've been listening to this playlist. It's songs that are similar to A Little Closer by Different, and it's a playlist on Spotify. It's so fucking good. There are some ones that are really poundy and heavy in there. Like I would probably say of the songs, I reckon I probably about 30% of that playlist, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it really is. Like it is like in terms of, I think techno and house, it's such a large umbrella that it can so quickly lean into something that you really don't like. So like having a playlist where I like sort of 30 to 40% of the songs that I haven't even made, great. So I highly recommend that playlist. And then outside of like techno and house music, I've been listening to Harvest Moon by Neil Young. Oh, I love that song. It's like the most romantic song ever. I know I should not be thinking about when I next get into a relationship, because being single should not be seen as a transitional period in your life. But the way I'm literally like listening to Harvest Moon by Neil Young, and I'm like, maybe when I next get a partner, that can be our song. I feel like that's not how songs work. I feel like that's not how like your song works. I still remember what every single one of my songs was with my ex-partners. Oh, well, I mean, of course I do. That's like a stupid thing to say, but I don't know. Like sometimes I listen to a song and it will be because me and my ex-boyfriends. So I had a boyfriend from the age of 18 to 21. He was like my first proper boyfriend. I would describe him as like my first love. He was the boyfriend that when I met him, I was like, oh, I'm going to marry him one day. It was really sweet. Like, it was sweet. That like first 6 months of our relationship was like the sweetest, cutest thing ever. Obviously it didn't work out. We broke up, because when we met, we were both 18, like we were babies. But our song was Killing Me Softly by the Fugees. And that song came on my playlist the other day, and it's just like, I was like, whoa. It's like, but one thing that I do like about when you've broken up with someone and it's been so long since the breakup, you can actually look back on like joint memories and songs with fondness. Obviously at the moment, my last breakup is so fresh still that like I literally cannot consume or look at anything to do with us, because obviously it just makes me feel really sad. But with my, ex, it's been nearly 5 years since we broke up, really. Yeah. God, yeah, we broke up when I was 21. And I'm going to be 26 in this month. So, yeah, no, we broke up like 5 years ago. So 5 years. Wow, sorry, I'm just deep in it. But yeah, so it's like I can now look back at like the songs and the memories and like talk about him and like feel absolutely fine, because it's been so long since we broke up. And then I've also been listening to Homecoming by the Teenagers, because I saw an edit of Rob from Industry to that song, and I just, oh my God, I'm literally like twirling my hair thinking about Rob from Industry. So let's get into it. I am just going to be talking, basically. I mean, classic, what a shock. This episode might not be as long as others. I just like wrote down a few things that were like on my mind. No like specific discourse or like pop culture or anything like that. Mostly things just to do with my life, because, you know, the big life update is that I moved. I finally moved. So if you didn't know, obviously you guys know I went through a breakup and we lived together, and I finally got to move out of the house at the beginning of September, and I was living alone in that house for around 2 months. And, you know, what I will say is I loved that flat so much. Oh, I just realized I can actually tell you guys where I used to live. So I used to live in Holloway. I lived in Holloway for 3 years. And then, I lived in like the area of Holloway for 3 years. One of those years I lived just off Holloway Road. And then the last 2 years I lived just off Caledonian Road. And I will always have a place for Holloway in my heart, because it was the first place that I moved out to. I just love it there. Like I love it so much. I really do adore it. Because it feels like my home. That's literally, it feels like my home. And me and my ex's old flat, it was just so, like, you know, everything needed a fresh lick of paint, and the carpet was horrible, but, you know, it was so, like, special to me. You know, it was a really beautiful place. It had beautiful light. It was really big. And the church, we lived opposite a church, and every morning in the summer I would sit on the steps and, like, look at the church as I ate my breakfast. Like, you know, all of these memories that I had in this house, like, and unfortunately, as things happen, you know, we broke up, and then I stayed in the house, and, you know, the house, because I was like depressed and demotivated, and I didn't want to clean up or tidy, and then I was also moving, so I was like, there's no point me cleaning up and tidying, and like there was just boxes everywhere. It just became like a very negative space for me, and I think that, you know, I now associate that house with how lonely I was in that last like month that I was living there. You know, Jack was away. I couldn't see a lot of my close friends, and I was working alone, and I remember, you know, ringing my mum crying about how lonely and how bored I was, and how like this just isn't fun. Like it was fucking tough. It was tough. But if you didn't know, I have moved. Always going to be a North London babe. Obviously, I still live in North London. But I've actually moved in with my best friend. You guys all, I feel like you all know this, but just in case you don't, so me and Jack moved in together. And it has been, like, I will say he has been in and out quite a lot because he travels a lot for work. So I actually got to experience and move into the house and live in the house by myself for like 3 weeks. And I still sort of have that experience. Like, he's back for 2 weeks, and then he's off again for like 2 weeks, and he's back for 2 weeks and off again. Like, you know, and what I will say is, don't get me wrong, I do miss him. I mean, he's back now, but like when he's gone, I really miss him. But I think it's actually been really nice to be able to experience that house alone and be able to live alone for a little bit and essentially sort of get acclimatized. Like, I think that it's been like essentially just such a shout. Like, it's been a really, really positive experience. And I'm really, really obviously I'm really enjoying living together. Like, that's literally all the feedback of living together so far. Like, this is so fun. Like, yesterday, because I filmed a video the day before, the day after I film a video, I usually, like, you know, will sort of run like worky kind of errands. So like, I'll get my research notes printed off, I'll plan podcast episodes. Like, basically I will do a day of just like bits and bobs that I've needed to do throughout the week. And Jack was going to go view some venues, and I was just like, shall I just come? And he was like, yeah. And then we had like this fun day, like this fun bestie day. And, you know, it's just so fun. Like, it really does never get old. Like, it sounds really stupid, but I was saying to him, I was like, I'm really like dreading the day that we don't live together anymore. And like, essentially we've like locked into living together forever, because we're going to do a Christmas tradition where we're going to go to Selfridges and we're going to get one expensive Christmas decoration each every year. And I said to him, I was like, well, because we've signed a contract for 3 years, I was like, well, we're going to have to stay together forever. Like, we can't just have 6 Christmas decorations on the tree. That's pathetic. So who knows? But But obviously this is like my first time being, single in my adult life. And people get really surprised when they hear this, but I don't think that this is that like crazy or like radical, because essentially I've been in back-to-back relationships since I was 17, and then when I went through my breakup with like my first proper boyfriend when I was 21, that was during lockdown. And then very shortly after, I met my now ex-boyfriend. Sorry, fucking hell, really going through him, aren't I? But I then met my ex, but and then when me and my ex were together, our first summer together was when lockdown was like, wrapped up. So I've never really gotten to be single, be an adult, all at the same time, so it's been an experience. And, I will say above everything, I have absolutely positive emotions towards it, and we're going to get into it in just a second. But something that I want to make very, very clear to you guys, that this has not been a smooth sailing experience. And there's a lot of thoughts in my brain that like I want to get out, but essentially, obviously, I've been so open about my breakup on this podcast. That sounds like the wrong thing. I've been open about my emotions around my breakup. I haven't been open about the breakup itself because, it's a totally private, really like insane experience in my life. And, you guys completely respected my privacy. Some of the comments on Instagram have been a little bit mad. Some people, why do people leave comments and like talk like I'm not in the room? Like, like that's been like the strangest experience, is like people like leaving comments thinking that I don't read them. Like, but anyways, you guys have been incredibly respectful of my privacy, and I have been very open about my emotions towards the breakup. But I think this is going to be the last episode where I talk about that kind of stuff. And I want to make it clear that it's not it's not because I'm like completely over it and I'm 100% fine. I say to people all the time that are going through breakups that you don't just go through the breakup once, you go through it over and over and over and over again. But the different, it's like when you there's the day when you break up, and then there's the days where you miss them, and then there's the days where you move out, and then there's the day when you move into your new place. And then there's, days in that new place where something reminds you of them, or you end up in a situation where you really would ask them for advice. And, you go through it over and over and over again. And it's you go through that grief of like losing someone over again. But what I've noticed is that you go through the breakup over and over again, but it becomes more and more spaced apart. It's not, at the beginning, it's so frequent. You're just in constant pain. And then as it goes on, you notice that you've got a few weeks without thinking about them, without thinking about, what's happened, or and then there'll just be something that reminds you of them, and it feels just as painful as the day that you broke up, so that's something to like experience. I just want to make it clear that it's not like I'm like, absolutely 100% fine. I'm not. I am over the hump. I'm absolutely over the hump. I'm on the other side. Like, I'm very much on the other side. I've been on the other side for a while. But, I wouldn't say I'm going through a breakup anymore, and because of that, I don't think that I'm going to talk about like my emotions towards it anymore. I think that it's really time for me to close this chapter of my life. And, me and Jack were having a conversation about it, and he said to me, he was like, you'd be surprised how much a change in space really shifts your mindset. And that was it. It was as soon as I moved into my new place, it was like, I was like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. I want to move on. And, I will always be open about my emotions on here and like what I'm going through, because not only does it help you guys, but you guys help me. Like, you guys are like so incredible and amazing. And I love the messages I receive from you guys and the comments. But, I need to move on, and I can't keep speaking about how I feel about my breakup, especially when some days there are weeks where I don't feel anything, because I'm moving on, and that's like healthy and that's normal. But just because I am like making these, statements of I'm loving being single and all of this, before I talk about what it's really like been like being single and how I'm finding the experience of being single as an adult for the first time, really. I actually want to talk to you guys about a little wobble I had recently, because I think that you guys will find a lot of comfort in this. I had a little bit of a wobble a couple of weeks ago where I thought, what if I never meet someone? I would like to say I have been single for not even 4 months. It hasn't even been 4 months. And I just had one of those, what if I never meet anyone? Like, I had a real wobble and a little bit of a freak out. So I don't really know what spurred this on. I think maybe it's because I'm quite like an active dater, and like I see the dating scene, and I know what the dating scene is like, that I had one of those like, oh God, what if I never meet anyone? And and also what I will say is, when you do start dating, you do, it sounds really bad, but you do realize, how special the connection that you had with your ex was, and oh God, am I ever going to find that again? And so I was having a freak out that I was never going to meet someone, and I was getting those itchings for wanting to be in a relationship again. But I got out of the other end very, very quickly. It was literally just a week of me freaking out. I spoke about it with my therapist. Like, he was listening. I had my freak out. It was over. And I want to share with you guys how I got out of the other end of that. Because I know that some people feel, I think it's a very normal feeling when you've just gotten out of a relationship to get like that little urge to try and get wifed up again, like, because it's all companionship is all that all of a sudden having to go about the world on your own. And look, don't get me wrong, my life is so rich with friendship. My life is incredibly rich with friendship. But, the intimacy that you have in a relationship is just extremely different. I think, like, I remember when I read Notes on Heartbreak, Annie Lord, that I recommend in every single one of my podcast episodes. She spoke about how like that when you have a partner that you just update on every single thing going on with your day, like how you just cannot really recreate that with a friend. The connection you have with a partner and the intimacy that you have and the communication that you have is so different that, yes, I may be surrounded by friends, but you are going about the world on your own, and that can be so, so scary. But something that has really like shifted my opinion that I'm very excited to talk about with my therapist today, I know he's going to love talking about this, and that is that I think it is such a privilege to be able to live your life on your own terms and not have to commit any of your time to another person. And hear me out. I do have concerns that I am going to sound like some, fucking, well, I don't want a relationship anyway. No. I want to make it very, very clear that I am pro-relationship and I'm also pro-single. I don't think that anyone is, worse or happier or sadder than the other. There are sad single people, sad people in relationships. There are happy single people and happy people in relationships. Some people thrive more in relationships. Some people thrive more when they're single. Do I think that everyone should, be, if they have the opportunity, be single in their adult life? Absolutely. This has probably been the time that I've learned the most about myself. But what I will say is, when you are as someone who's very versed in being in committed long-term relationships, being in a relationship, a long-term committed relationship as an adult is a commitment. It is a massive, massive commitment. And you dedicate and commit so much of yourself to another person. Even if you do live together, you still have to dedicate time and effort to maintaining your relationship. If you don't maintain your relationship and it's long-term, it dies. Relationships cannot stay in that honeymoon phase where everything feels so easy for longer than 2 years. Like, it's just not possible. Relationships take maintenance. And the thing is that I would say in my last relationship, I probably dedicated about 40% of my time and energy and effort into maintaining my relationship and, spending time with and being with my ex-partner. And I just want to say that that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing, because when, yes, you dedicate a lot of time and energy and effort into your relationship, but you reap the highest reward. Dedicating time and effort into a relationship, the reward that you get from that is being in love. The reward that you get from that is companionship. The reward you get from that is having a built-in best friend. And that is an amazing, amazing feeling that I hope that everybody gets to feel once in their life. I hope that everybody gets to be in love and have that kind of companionship and have that built-in best friend, at least once in their life. It really, truly is amazing. But being able to live your life and have 100% of your time and your energy to yourself, because I'm not in a relationship, I don't have children, I don't have any dependents apart from my cat, and that, come on. Being able to, your time being truly your own is such a privilege. And I know that, when I do get into a relationship again, because I will say that, yes, I went through a really insane life change, and I went through a breakup, which truly has altered my brain chemistry and changed the person that I am. I am not put off getting into a relationship again at all. Do I want to be on my own at the moment? Yes. Do I think that the universe knows that I need to be alone? Yes. I genuinely think that I need to be alone for, the foreseeable. I need to be alone for a while. Absolutely. I'm never, ever, ever put off getting into a relationship again. But being able to have 100% of your own time is such a blessing, and it's a gift. And I know that when I next get into a relationship, I'm going to look back at this time in my life, and I'm going to look back on it with so much fondness, because something that, and I think everyone does this, but I think especially I feel like I'm really guilty of it, is I always look back at things in hindsight with like rose-tinted glasses on. Not even necessarily rose-tinted glasses. It's more I look back on things and I very often think like, I wish I'd made the most of it in the moment. Like, I wish that I'd appreciated this in the moment or that in the moment, And I want to be like really appreciative of this time in my life, because I already know I'm going to look back on the time that I was single and had all of this time to myself with fondness. And I know that I'm going to think, I wish that I'd made the most of it. Living life, not having to answer to anyone, not having to commit my time to another person and maintaining a relationship, I just have so much more time now, and I have so much more energy. And like, something I've noticed, and something that I really did struggle with, was I actually did struggle in long-term relationships because I felt like I was under pressure. And being able to live life completely, what I would describe, look, I've got pressure from work, obviously, but being able to live my life completely pressure-free is something that like I think that it just looks good on me. Like, I think that I feel lighter. Like, it's just something that I feel like I'm really thriving at the moment. And, obviously, I have friendships that I maintain, but I think that some of these relationships, some of these friendships, I feel like I wouldn't be able to nurture as much as I have if I was in a relationship still, And this is the thing, is that I'm creating these ties and these bonds because I have all of this time. And the thing is that when you're single, all of this time that you have can be easily seen as a negative or a positive. You can see this excess time as like, oh, I'm so bored, I've got nothing to do, I wish I had my person, like this, that, and the other. But it can also be seen as a positive, as look at all of this spare time that I have that I can dedicate to maintaining friendships. I can dedicate it to a hobby. I can dedicate it to something to do with work. Like, I can refire up a passion. Like, there is so much time that you have when you're single, and you will look back and be jealous of the excessive amount of time that you used to have. There is something, you can look at an empty schedule and an empty week as like I've got nothing to do, or you can just see it as a challenge. Like, whenever I have like an empty week, I see it as a fucking challenge, and I'm like, you know what, let me get locked in, let me message a bunch of people I know, see if they're free to go for a drink after work, dinner after work, and that's just so fun. Like, and I remember saying to my therapist, I was like, I think that maybe I was supposed to be alone this entire time, because I look back on the way that I was in, past relationships, and, I wasn't the happiest person, and I feel so much happier now, and I think a lot of that has got to do with not feeling like anyone's depending on me, or not even necessarily depending on me, but I guess it's that feeling of, I feel like, I am not feeling like I have to give a lot of myself up for someone else, and I don't want people to view this as like a me dunking on people that are in relationships, because girl, I know that I'll get into a relationship within the next few years. Like, I know that it's going to happen, I'm a very, like, me and my girlfriends, so me and my girlfriends, we're all single, and I was out with Faye and Kitty, and they were saying like, oh, who do you think is going to be the next person to get into a relationship? And I was like, girls, if we're talking numbers and statistics and likelihoods, I'm the most active dater, so I'll probably be the one that gets into a relationship first, So if we're looking at probabilities here, and this isn't a me wanting to get into a relationship, it's just me thinking, yeah, it probably will happen, which I think is the best way to approach dating, in my opinion. But yeah, like, I don't want people to see this as me dunking on people in relationships. This is more that I want people who are newly single to reframe and recontextualize what they see as loneliness and spare time and being bored. Like, a free week isn't a lonely week. A free week is just a challenge. You could do it, girls. You could do it. I think, like, as a newly, freshly single woman, obviously, especially because I was making a video about like dating apps and, all that palaver, a lot of my like algorithm and like, TikTok and For You page and all that, it's sort of been like, it's sort of become like single woman central. Like, it's been a lot of like single advice and stuff like that. And something that I found really interesting that Shantae J made a TikTok about that I thought was so, like, I thought it completely hit the nail on the head. And there is this pressure, which I find is on single women. It's never on single men. For single women to enjoy their own company. There's like this pressure of like, you should enjoy being alone. You should enjoy your own company. Take yourself out on solo dates. And look, there are actually people out there who enjoy their own company. Like, I know loads of people that are like quite introverted and they can go on solo trips by themselves and have an absolute blast. I, unfortunately, am not really like that. I get very, like, I mean, I work alone. Most of the time I live alone because Jack's away a lot. I love other people. I love other people and I love being around people. I'm such an extrovert. So, I don't mind a little solo date of like a little trip to the bookshop or like running my errands with my headphones in and, spending like a day at home alone. But I think there's pressure on women to like take themselves out on solo dates when they're single and like take themselves out for solo dinners and all of this. Guys, sometimes that isn't the answer, and that's my hot tea. That's my tea. Like, I don't think that there should be this pressure to enjoy your own company because we're social creatures. That's what Shantae J said in her TikTok. We are social creatures, and I think the thing with being single is that it's trying to strike up the balance of being alone but not being lonely, So the way that I describe myself is I live my life alone. Like, I don't have, a partner. I don't have a companion. I live my life completely alone, but I have so many people in my life that I never ever feel lonely. I never feel lonely. I feel like I have such a strong community at the moment, and God bless, I think my mum's noticed because when I was deep in the living alone breakup, I was FaceTiming my mum every day. I was FaceTiming my mum every day. And and now I I FaceTime her once a week, and and that's because I'm like busy now and I have things going on and I know that she's really happy for me, yeah, like I live my life alone, but I am not lonely, and that's the balance that you have to strike up when you're freshly single. Something that also, it's like my hobby is hanging out with my friends. Like, I know that sounds a bit shit, but like my hobby is hanging out with my friends. Obviously my hobby used to be YouTube. Now I'm extremely blessed that this is my job. So yeah, my hobby is literally going out for drinks with my friends, and like I would do it again. Do I have anything to show for it? No. apart from like a low bank balance. But you know, like just something with being single is figure out what you love doing and make the most of having this time. Make the fucking most of having all of this time. So back onto sort of the moving and like being single and like moving and being single and like what's going on in my life and da da da. So obviously I've moved into my new place, and something that I'm literally like kicking my feet because I'm so excited for this. So something that I didn't realize I'd be so excited about is having my own bedroom. Because, you know, ever since I moved out, I've always been with my ex. So his like stuff's always been there. It's always been around. And obviously like, you know, the excitement of being able to like give your partner a drawer, like isn't that oh man, like, you know what, shout out to relationships, because that is one thing that like I completely forgot about this until now, like the giddiness of like when you receive a drawer from your partner, like this is your drawer to put all your things, like it's so sweet, you know. And like don't get me wrong, like I, you know, again, I don't necessarily seem like I'm dunking on my past relationship or like dunking on relationships in general. I'm not. I'm just talking about like some of the things that I'm enjoying about being single. It's like, didn't realize how much I would love having my own bedroom. Like, obviously I've had my own bedroom, but I've always shared it, right? And there's something about having my own bedroom where everything in it is mine. I don't know what it is that it's like making me feel like so like whole and like excited and like, you know, I'm whenever I have a date over, I'm like, I'm so excited to show you my bedroom. Like, I've got a really nice bedroom as well. I absolutely pulled the long straw when it came to the bedroom. Like, I got like Jack's bedroom is beautiful as well, but I got a really, really nice one, and my wardrobes were already built. Cha-ching! I didn't need to build any furniture for my bedroom. I used a lot of my furniture that was in my living room in my bedroom. Like, I've used a lot of like the decor from my old living room in my bedroom. Basically, everything's mine. And Jack brought up such a good point where he said, he was like, there must be something so comforting about coming back to your bedroom and knowing it's going to be the exact same way that you left it, which is so true. And it's a point that I've like never ever thought about. Like, it's like I know exactly what my room looks like right now, and it's like totally become my haven. But if we just talk about like, you know, how I'm living my life right now. Obviously, I moved house. I moved house in September as well, which feels like such like a fresh start. I was watching one of Moya Mawini's vlogs, who is like my fave, and she said about how September always feels like a newer start to her because she probably just still has like school brain, which is so true. And also I think it's the change of the seasons as well. I think there's something about the change from summer to autumn that feels like it's changing my life. Like, it feels like, I don't know, maybe that's stupid. But, you know, summer is like party time, right? Like spring and summer, that's when I get so boozy. You know, it's festival season. Like you just really go for it, right? Autumn is when you wind down. And I feel like that's the time for fresh starts, you know? And it's been really nice to like have this fresh start in September in my new place. Obviously I went through a big life change as well. And something that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to form like some good habits. I do want to like write a list of all of the good habits that I'm trying to form. I want to create a list of like good habits I'm trying to form, but mostly the habits I want to form is like watching one episode of a TV show I like a night and not binge watching TV shows, because I think that ruins the TV show watching experience. I want to read my articles. So I want to read The Atlantic, The New Yorker. I want to get my little Medium app as well, because I have an iPad that I do that all on, my little work iPad. And then also I want to read. And I also want to go to the gym. You know, have I been keeping up with my habits? I've been watching TV. Like, have I been keeping up with my habits? You know, not quite, but I think something that like I'm not putting too much pressure on myself, because like habits, it isn't something that you change straight away. Like, it is a process, and like that's something that like I'm just trying to tackle one thing at a time. You know, I am having phone rot times still, but we're getting there. You know what else I've been like, I don't know whether like it's the new house. I don't know like what is going on with me, but I feel like I look really cool at the moment. So I look really cool at the moment in my Paloma Wall bonnet. No, I really like really into like my fashion stuff at the moment. I'm gonna get really into like fashion on Instagram, and I'm like so excited to like start it. And like there's like, you know, I've got like lots of little video ideas and like outfit ideas, and I'm like so excited to share them with you. You know me, like I love fashion anyway, but I'm specifically very passionate about like small brands, sustainable fashion. Like I think that's just the best way to dress, like secondhand, you know, like it's just the way forward. But oh God, what was I saying again? You know, I feel like I just look really cool at the moment. Like I feel like I'm just a cool babe, and it's so exciting. I got my first ever like, I don't know, like fashion thing. So, oh, sorry, my sister and my mum rang me. But something so exciting, doing something so exciting tomorrow. So obviously I'm doing Taboo on the Tube, exciting thing. And another exciting thing I did is that Shop Yachts, Isabella Verana, 1X Blue and Knee High, they're doing a sample sale, and I was invited and given some credit to spend. I think something that we need to deep here, guys, is that I first of all love all these brands, and I've shopped from all of them before. I have never ever been invited to anything like this. I've never been given credit to anything like this. Like this is so like fun to me and like really exciting. So I feel like I'm getting really into my fashion bag at the moment, and I'm gonna film a reel this weekend about all of like my new secondhand vintage purchases, because I feel like those are the most interesting, those are the most fun. But what was I saying? So I thought to finish off this episode, because I do actually want to make a whole fashion-y podcast episode. I just don't know what about. Like, let me know what you guys would like me to make like a fashion-based podcast episode about. Also, I need to keep track of the time because I need to go in like 15 minutes. I need to go to therapy. But shall we finish off this episode with me sharing my fashion wish list? I love a good wish list. First thing on the wish list, because I've sent my birthday wish list to my girlfriends as well, is I want to get on the bangles trend. I want to walk into a room and everyone hear my bangles. I want people to hear me before they see me. And I just think bangles are so fun, and I love the look of silver jewelry. I especially love the look of silver jewelry when I'm wearing this black top. I absolutely love this top. It's from my friend Kitty's brand, I Love Vintage. And I'm so obsessed with like this black top with silver jewelry, and I feel like silver bangles, like big handbag, little strappy top, jeans, trainers, silver bangles with silver hoops. Yeah. I also really want this necklace that I want is from the brand Papari. It's called the bunny. I think it's like called the La Conchita bunny necklace. Oh my God, I really want that so badly. I think it's so pretty. And I love stacking necklaces, and I'm a very like, do I buy a lot of clothes? Since I've been single, I actually haven't bought that many clothes at all. I was very deep in a shopping addiction, not very deep, but I was quite deep in a shopping addiction for the past like year, and then I've been out of it for a few months, and it's just something I haven't even noticed that I'm just not shopping that much. I used to have an urge to like want something to be on the way all the time. Now I'm just not like that anymore, because I've noticed the less I buy, the better my personal style has gotten. I can make a whole episode about it. I do also really want to get this. There's this black cami top from Cuckoo Intimates that I think is so beautiful. It's literally just this plain black cami top with like a little bow. Because I wear so much black, I think that would literally, again, cost per wear would be so low. There's also this good squish. It's called the Baby Beautiful Black Scrunchie. Again, I wear so much black that when I like slick my hair back, tie my hair back, I think a nice, beautiful, big black scrunchie would look so beautiful. And then let me go through my like other fashiony bits that I put on my TikTok. So there are these there are these boots from D'Emblay that I really want to get. Not right now. They're not a winter purchase. I wouldn't describe this as a winter purchase. They're called the Clara boot. They're like these brown, big, chunky boots with like metal hardware on them. I would describe them as more of a spring, summer purchase. I feel like these are the types of boots where you would wear them with like a summer dress, and it would sort of like, oh my God, it would edge it up. Rock and roll. But sorry, I'm being completely nonsensical now. But also I do actually think that these boots would look really cute. I can picture like skirt olive colored tights, white sort of like cream, like cable knit socks, and then these boots. That would look so, so good. I don't know what kind of skirt it would be. I'd probably rummage through Kitty and Faye's stuff to like try and find the perfect skirt for like this vision that I have. But this is the most fun thing about not being not a hyper consuming fashion, not being not consuming so much when it comes to fashion, is your visions and like what your mind and like your ideas, they become so much clearer. So that's definitely something that I would want to do with these boots. There's also these trousers. They're from the brand Karla Laidlaw, and they are these hook and eye black flared trousers. I saw Isabella Verona wearing them. I think that they are so beautiful. They are from Australia, so not only would the shipping cost a fortune and the customs, but I actually don't even know if they'd fit me. Like, I'd have to actually properly take my measurements before ordering them. And I really would rather, if they did a pop-up in the UK, I would rather buy them then so I can properly try them on and make sure I like them. But I know I'd get so much use out of them. They're black flares, but they're like very elevated black flares. Also, oh my God, Ewan's Me did a pop-up at the Isabella Verona showroom, and I went and they were sold out of everything, but I really want one of their white wrap tops. So, so beautiful. I also want a pair of plain black Ugg boots because I get so much use out of them in the winter. I did have the Gimaguas like blue studded like sort of over the shoulder bag, but I actually think I've changed my mind on it. It was on my wish list not even for that long, but I know I'd seen a lot of it, and I was like, I think I'm probably going to get a bit sick of it because there's already so many like replicas and dupes that I don't think I will get that, and it's very expensive. It's like £300. I'm like, £300 was something that I'm already getting a little bit sick of. Not a good idea. But my last wish list, which is the thing that I think I'm going to buy soon, and I'm gonna make a TikTok and like a reel out of purchasing it. I want to get a pair of Margiela tabbies. Yeah, so Margiela tabbies have been on my mind for about a year. There is a pair that Isabella Verona has. She has these satin green with like a little pump. And I saw these ones on Essence, and they are satin purple with a little pump, and I loved them. But they were sold out. I still haven't really been able to find them. And I have found ones on the Margiela website, which are just plain black with a pump, with a little bow, and I just think they're so beautiful, and I know that I would get so much use out of them. I mean, you guys probably know this, I do spend a lot of money on fashion because I shop from small businesses, sustainable, and also I shop a lot of vintage as well, and like with curated vintage, it does has quite a high markup sometimes, but I never buy designer, but this would be like my first new designer purchase. I just have my eyes set on them, and I think that it would be a really nice birthday present to myself. I buy myself a birthday present every year, and if you don't do this, I highly recommend doing it. Buying yourself a birthday present is like one of the many pleasures of being an adult, and I really want to buy myself the tabbies. They're around £800, which obviously is very expensive for a pair of shoes, but these are a timeless shoe that I know because they're black pumps. They're black, ballet flats, but they've got a little heel. I know I'll get so much use out of them. Jack wants to get a pair of tabbies as well, so we think we might go to the store together and buy them. And buy the tabbies and like try them on and make a whole day of it, and I can get a vlog out of it as well. Yes, but I'm still gonna have a think about it. But I think I'm going to wrap the episode up here because I have to leave for therapy in 10 minutes. But thank you guys so, so much. I know this wasn't like a typical episode of like me, talking about different subjects, but I honestly just want to talk about myself. I just wanted to talk about myself. But thank you guys so, so much for listening. This has been so, so fun. I'm so happy to be back. And I can't wait to speak to you guys in the next episode. Bye.